ABIA State Ministry of Environment, Umuahia, has suspended with immediate effect all service providers, companies and revenue collection agents working for the ministry until further notice. In a statement that was signed by the Commissioner for Environment, Philemon Ogbonna, he said the ministry observed that some persons and companies who did not have government approval to collect revenue have been parading as authentic agents. Ogbonna directed any person and company claiming to provide service or collect revenues for the ministry to report the ministry for verification and validation of previous approvals of their activities. This is very worrisome because these are actually people that people would trust going to their offices to handle these cases or issues or whatever takes them there. So to have this in mind, only God knows for how long this has probably been going on. Let's get your thoughts on this particular story.
Well, this is a familiar area. You know, it happens at the state level. Okay. It is even more worrisome at the local government level, where, you know, there is no uniformity in the collection of levies and taxes. At the state level, there are some unscrupulous elements who go as far as printing receipts. They print receipts, Okada receipts, Keke receipts, and they collect this money legally. In most cases, those who are working in those offices have a hand in such dubious activities. I think we are not there yet, but my advice is that, see, when revenue collection, taxation is a critical component of internally generated revenue. So no government jokes with it. In America, if you are caught, found guilty of tax evasion, you go to prison. There may not be any option of fine because it is the money you collect that sustains your roads, maintains the system, takes care of social welfare, welfare of the elderly, and so on the orphanage homes and so on. So in Nigeria, we are not there because over there, everything is automated. You know, with ICT, wherever you pay your revenue, there is a central, it's like if you are at a stadium, there's a particular kind of dashboard that shows who has paid and who has not paid, how much you have paid, and so on. But our case is not like that. Even within Port Harcourt itself, was it last week we went to renew our vehicle particulars. Only network kept us for 1 week after payment. Yes, we waited for network for 1 week before we could get the relevant documents for just renewing particulars of a car. You see, that tells you that if you go to the banking sector, the same thing.
Yes.
Most of the things that are happening, fraudulent activities as a result of cybercrime activities by those who learn how to hack. Some even hack banks. It has happened in South Korea. It has happened in other countries like China and even the United States of America. So illegal collecting government money legally is not a new thing. What we need to do is let us ITize the system. We ITize it so that at any point you are paying, this physical, hard copy receipt is not what is required. It should be either your BVN entered or your NIN card entered. The same way they operate bank accounts. That is the same way. But we still have a problem because we don't have a reliable database of those who are engaged in small-scale businesses. Yes, we don't have it because we don't have an agency that is fully responsible for all the small-scale businesses. In most cases, some people set up small-scale businesses, sourcing funds from brothers, sisters, and family members. So government does very little, if there is any. Government does very little. Artisans and so on. So if we can minimize it, we cannot totally eradicate illegal collection of levies, taxes, and so on, especially through these little sources. Okada riders, Keke riders, taxi drivers, those who sell kiosk shops, wine shops.
People who hawk.
As for the hawkers, how will you collect the diesel from them?
They actually do, because the other day we saw in the news where someone was saying, why don't we why don't we stop taking taxes from the poor people? And then we heard that some of these people who even hawk do pay tax. In fact, multiple taxation. And there are reports that some of them even pay higher than what their profit was for that day. So at the end of the day, they don't have anything to go back home with, and it's really ridiculous. We've even had business owners, maybe shop owners, also complain of double taxation. This group are coming for their own, another group is coming for this particular levy, this particular tax, and it becomes worrisome because doing business becomes very difficult.
Yes.
And that actually affects our economy at the end of the day. But when we talk about having a unified system where we can get to control all of these things, especially using IT. Do you see us getting there anytime? Is it a level that we cannot attain now? Is there any limitation to that?
It is attainable. It is attainable. All we need to do is to weed out some corrupt elements, because even as you ITicize the system, there are still some unscrupulous elements that will exploit the ICT system there to make it impossible for some people to pay through the unified system.
Yeah.
So.
And that's also a big problem.
Like in most states, you see, double taxation. You see the Minister of Environment collecting taxes. You see the Minister of Health collecting their own. I don't know what levy they call it. You see the Environmental Sanitation Authority also collecting their own in terms of pollution, waste disposal, and all manner of
the area boys too, with their own communities.
Some years back, when I operated a small-scale business at Chinda Estate, they came up with artisan pollution. I said, what is artisan pollution? You did not provide power. That is why I'm using a generator. And you said my generator is polluting the environment. Who is responsible? Ideally, government should be able to provide power for me to pay. That way, you also minimize the environmental degradation we are facing in our society. But the best bet for now is we have to ITicize the system and get to talk to everybody and adopt a unified
can even put security measures on check. If security measures are on check, who would want to, override the system? And then
when it comes to ICT matters, is even when you're operating your Facebook, sometimes Facebook will say, are you a human being or a robot? Such things can be controlled, but there are always limitations. The best control is human conscience, you who is operating the system. If you say, look, I have to take this amount of money in an unscrupulous manner into my pocket, you will be doing violence to the system, to governance. But somebody who has a conscience will say, look, this amount of money, this is the money that will go to the poor. This is money we use in funding education. This is money that goes to the elderly. With that conscience, with you will be able to solve that problem. But ITicizing it, and again, there has to be a penalty for those unscrupulous elements. If you don't show example, in Nigeria, most of our laws, we have an array of laws that are very good, beautiful laws. But the implementation has been the Achilles heels of all these laws we have. By the time you show example one or two, like they have made a law concerning the death sentence of drug traffickers. By the time they cite example of 1, 2, 3, people will now sit up and say, oh, so this thing is working. So we have to do that and ensure we get revenue.